Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Article of the Week. Today we would be talking about how history teachers have turned into trauma specialists. Now, without wasting any further time, of course, I'm going to give you the upfront conclusion right in your face. Europe's colonial history is proving to be more and more complicated as nations progress towards finding a common ground with the previously oppressed classes. Now, of course, this is a very convoluted statement right here, but this is the gist and the summary that I extracted while I was reading this article. Which reminds me, if you want to read the summary of this article, which I personally curated, you can check it all out down in the description box below. But without wasting any more time, of course, let's get down to the breakdown. So the article talks about the hesitancy of a lot of history teachers to discuss the past of France, especially with the death of a French teacher who showed the portrait of Prophet Muhammad in the classroom, and let's just say that what he got was an out of proportion, a very extreme response. You just do not go around killing people simply because they showcase something that may have been offensive to you. I think that is a very misappropriated response to anything like that. On top of it, I don't even think that the intent of the teacher was to offend someone. It was rather to educate some people, and he had already given a trigger warning. He had already said that if people have a problem with the portrait or with the caricature that I'm going to show to you, then of course you may very well leave the class or you may cover your eyes. At the same time, we also understand that there have been a lot of picturizations of the Holy Prophet and his family members as well in the Turkish Empire, and I believe that there are a lot of inscriptions that have Prophet Muhammad's face on them, and this is in Baghdad, or this is in Turkey, I believe. There is an entire, you can say, a podcast episode by Paris Institute of Critical Thinking. I even summarized that as well, and the person who was speaking in that one was Michael Barry. I remember him. He's a scholar on this, and he talked about how picturization is actually quite common in the history of Islam, but at the same time, what Charlie Hebdo did after that, and that was to mock and ridicule the Holy Prophet, and then France waged an all-out soft war against the very religion of Islam. That is something that was really wrong, and if anybody would have done that against some Jewish family or some Jewish figure, then of course the entire nation and the entire world would have called that particular organization as anti-Semitic. But of course, as long as Islam is on the target, people have no problem with anything that happens. The author of the article also discusses that the problem here has always been Paulo Freire's model of education. That is, that education is something that needs to be deposited into the brain of the student, and then when the need arises, then somehow the student can simply pick out this information from the depth of his mind and then use it for the real world consequences and the real world tragedies that face him in his life. But this is not a very good way, because we do understand that anything that happens within the university should be based around dialogue. If you go ahead and you teach a couple of Muslims about the burqa ban in the future, let's just say, which France has implemented, then of course they're going to be feeling very alienated in the class, and they're going to have some very legit questions. Why was burqa banned in this very country? When people can go out and wear the burqa as a statement of fashion, why can I not wear it as a statement of my faith? And this is where we start running into trouble, because these ideas have not been accommodated. At best, the teachers have been told through very meticulously planned sensitization classes that they should not even touch upon these things, that they should simply ignore the bloody histories of their own past. And this is something that really does not sit well with the kind of history France or the rest of Europe has. In the end, of course, no history can be based upon a principle of exclusion. There are multiple things that go back and forth within the history of any nation. There is the good part, the bad part, and if we start cherry picking different moments in history, and if we start doing this with personalities, and even worse, if we start doing this with the multiple facets of the famous personalities that we have within a nation, then we are going to have a problem. For example, we all do realize that the Rhodes Scholarship is a really prestigious scholarship being offered by the University of Oxford, if I'm not wrong, and the person after whom it is named, Cecil Rhodes, was somebody who was not the most humanistic person alive at that time. Let's just put it like that. He was really big into slavery and stuff like that. That being said, he really has been a major contributor to the history of England. That is the nicest way I can put it. Now, which part of his personality do I pick? when I'm teaching about Cecil Rhodes? Do I pick the part about him where he is a really great personality, or do I pick the part about him where he's somewhat of a slave owner himself? The same thing happens when you talk about Winston Churchill. I mean, do I pick the part where he can be blamed for the construction of the Bengal famine? On the other hand, he can also be hailed as a champion for being a really good diplomat. What do I do in these cases? And I think that if we continue to cherry pick history, then we actually run the trouble of having an oversimplified vision or an oversimplified version of our own history. And in the future, when our own illusions would shatter, then I don't think we would be ready to embrace the consequences of that happening. That's all for this one, guys. I'll see you in the next article of the week. Take care.